Alright. And we are live according to this. Before I say that, because YouTube's always like 2 minutes behind, it seems like, with that. 1 second.
All right. Well, I just got the alert. That was that ding, so I just muted my phone.
Yeah, no, and I heard my voice twice. Okay, so we are live. Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hello.
All right, so today is a very interesting day. I've never had the honor of doing a live stream with such a big thing with this. We are promoting a good friend of mine, Tim Morris, his Kickstarter, which is for a series he's doing, graphic novel series called Column. But Column is not your ordinary graphic novel series. It's going to be something very different. And the reason being, and we'll explain that during this whole thing, is that it has an audio segment. And on the audio segment, we have various voice actresses that are, going to be on it. But we are joined today by one of those people, and it's Miss Cherami Leigh, or Mrs. Cherami Leigh, excuse me. Hello, Cherami Leigh. How are you doing?
Well,
there you go. Okay, we heard you now.
Yay!
There you go.
Hello. Sorry, it was cutting out and repeating things.
That's okay. Yeah, if you're looking at the live stream or anything like that, make sure to have the audio for that muted, because otherwise it'll be doing double audio.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, because I had to do the same thing on mine, so don't feel bad about that. But yeah, so the whole point of this is we're gonna have questions. We're gonna ask both Cherami Leigh and of course we're gonna ask Tim, and we're also ask Mike, who is using Tim's account at the same time, so they're both there.
Mike is sitting next to me. You're getting some horrific echo trying to use two computers next to each other.
Yeah, trust me, guys and girls, you don't want to know what it sounded like. It sounded like a vacuum cleaner going off in the background. It was
going into your brain. That's what it sounded like.
It was very loud. It hurt. It really hurt. And in case you don't know who Cherami Leigh is, which shame on you if you don't, she voices a lot of various characters. She voices probably one person you definitely know, English dub of Sword Art Online, Asuna, Lucy from Fairy Tail, and a slew of other characters in both anime, video games, and I believe you're in a few movies. I forgot there was one movie that I think you were in. I forgot what the name of it was. Crap, off the top of my head.
I am. Yeah. There's a couple. I think most people, I guess if you are involved in the YouTube world and
Right.
Shane Dawson, I was in a film called Not Cool with Shane Dawson,
That's
but I was
the
also
one, yes.
in Temple Grandin and Fast Food Nation, and a new film that came out earlier this year called Beyond the Farthest Star.
That's awesome. How was that, by the way? If really fast, I'll ask you.
On which one, or just all of the above?
I'm saying all of the above. Like, that must be really interesting to go from voice actor and then do that stuff too.
Yeah, I love doing both projects and doing stage as well when I can. And my husband and I produced a web series called Confessionals, so we got to be behind the scenes and writing the episodes and producing everything, and then being in front of the camera. So that was a very unique process. And now that I've started doing all of that, I can't imagine just doing on camera and not doing voiceover, or just doing voiceover and not doing on camera. I feel like when I do everything together, I feel balanced, and one without the other, I miss it too much.
That's cool. I mean, that keeps everything, from beginning to stale. You get to do multiple things. And I think Travis, by the way, who's Real Shadow Tiger, he's one of the moderators. Thanks, by the way, man, for moderating. He just put behind the voice actors, so I think that's a link to that. Yep, that's all your stuff that you've done. So that's cool. So this way, in case you guys and girls don't know what she's done, you can go click that link. So first and foremost, Tim, it's also having an honor for you to be here. I'm so blessed that I was able to even review the preview of your work, because I think it was awesome, dude. Realistically.
Yeah, you were the first person to respond of all the people we sent it out to. So
really? Oh, see, I'm even more honored. That's awesome. I've never been asked by anyone to do a specific review. Like, I mean, in terms of like other things I've done because I work for Honey's Anime, which is a website that does like anime stuff and all that. They've asked me to do a movie recently for, I think it was a Big Fish and Begonia. I did a review for that, but I've never been asked like by anyone to ever do a review specific for something. So that was really cool. But yeah, that's why I want to help you as much as I can. So guys and girls, make sure if you want to support Tim, which you are definitely going to want to after hearing about this more, to go in the description box below. You're going to find a link to everyone's things here. I'll make sure to plug it in multiple times, but you can see the first link is the Kickstarter itself for Column. And then you can go to the official website if you want to learn more about Column. That's the link right underneath it. And everyone's Twitter links and all that are going to be in there too. So first, I'll ask the first question. I'll get the honor of doing that. Tim, what made you want to do this project? What was your starting point for this? Like, did you have like inspiration from anything specifically?
Well, in terms of inspirations, it's kind of an amalgam of all this stuff Mike and I love.
Right.
As for what made us do it, it's going to sound a little I don't know if the word's bizarre or not, but it arose from the frustration of projects we had been working on with other people in charge that kept collapsing.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, you know what, this is getting out of control. That was like the third or fourth thing I had been a part of where the person basically running it abandoned it. And I was like, went to Mike, and this was the last thing we were on was like a game, and I was with Mike, and we were like, you know what, let's tell a narrative and let's do our own thing and be in charge, and we'll be the ones who take a risk, and
right.
It'll be on us whether we give up or not. And here we are now, so it's been quite the ride.
Okay, I mean, that sounds like a lot of trouble, but at the same time, if anything you want to do, you can't just stop. You gotta try to sometimes push and take that risk. So it's definitely something. Michelle, you want to ask your question now?
Hi, Cherami. How are you? Hello.
Cherami, you here? Did we lose Cherami?
I don't know.
Hi.
Oh, there we
Good.
go.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Hello.
Hello.
I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'm Michelle.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh no, I think she's delayed like 3 seconds. Uh-oh.
This is gonna have the live stream. I have the live stream in one ear. I can't hear it on my phone.
If you can, mute the live stream volume for it, or because that'll be the only way you can actually listen to both audio. It'll be otherwise too much on it, and it'll be too far delayed.
Okay.
Well, no, I'm watching the live stream on
Google. Google. What are you doing, Google? This is now Google Sucks Cast.
Google Hangout sometimes could be nightmarish. It's the thing of the day. But
I'm going to try. I think I can hear you guys now. Sorry. I had my headphones from my laptop because my phone was cutting out too badly, and I muted the live stream from my phone. So I'm like listening through two things. So it's very crazy.
No, I don't blame you. No.
Sure.
Okay, we good?
Yes, I think so. Who knows? For the time being.
As Jack said, still better than Skype. Yes, Skype is.
Yeah.
Skype. Skype was good one day. Now it's. Anyways, shall I ask you a question?
That's okay. That's okay. Well, the question that I'd like to ask is, out of all the characters, which one do you think is like personally you, and why? Like close to your personality.
I think there's like an element of all of them with me. Otherwise, I would not have been cast. I know when I auditioned for Lucy in Fairy Tale, I really loved the show so much, and I really wanted to be a part of it. But I thought Lucy was such a fun character, and I thought there was no way that I would get cast. So I did not audition for her. When I ended up, they said, please just read for her. It ended up being that I just ended up saying the lines that were written in the Lucy audition sides, just me talking about being in the show. So we were kind of one and the same that way. When I worked on Sword Art Online, I had just gotten engaged, so I was experiencing a lot of the same things romantically that Asuna was experiencing. But with every character that I've worked on, there's been a lot of that.
Oh wow.
That's impressive though. I mean, like that. I think that's one of the cooler things about even like just with Colin, for example. These are characters that are they might be very military like. They also might have that anime tone to them. Which you guys will understand if you actually go check out the previews of it. But that's one thing that's kind of cool is that you can always find yourself in a character. I think even for people that don't voice characters, you can find yourself in some role and be like, oh, that's me right there. Or oh, I feel like that's a representation of me. But as a voice actor, it must be kind of cool though to be able to voice someone you really like though.
Oh, is it your turn, Harry?
Oh yeah, I should ask you a question, right? Okay, so
Hello, sorry.
no, there you go.
There we go.
Good.
She's a lot nicer than Kara. I can confirm that though. Yeah.
Do you guys have audio?
We're good.
All right, because I'm hearing some weird background noise from one person. I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
But all right, Cherami, this question is for you, by the way. What did you think about Column initially? Like when you first were told probably by Tim about it. What did you think about it?
Well, first of all, when I met Tim and Mike, I think it was it, and I was there and they told us really excited about it. I had not been involved with any sort of web comic or something that's directly related to this different and fresh, and I was really impressed with them and how well they had fleshed out the characters and how fully realized this world was, and that they were ready to go and they were ready to make this a reality, and they've been so wonderful to work with and so collaborative, and they told us about these characters and they sounded like such a blast. So I was super fierce, powerful girl who might have some issues. I'm all about it.
Okay, that's very nice.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it was an honor to get to meet you and talk about it. And it, to Cherami's credit, she was super supportive right away. We were, or I guess we still kind of are nobodies because this is our first thing.
Hey, listen, you're right. That's how you start, though. You have to start up and rise up from something nothing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just thrilled to even have her entertain the idea of working with us. So we're extremely happy.
And just to give people an idea of how long this took, that was September of 2013. So
wow.
You can remember that.
Yeah.
Wow.
The fact I shot her an email about this, she wasn't like,
yeah, I don't even think that, which in Syracuse was such a fun convention and we had a blast. I don't think that convention is around anymore.
Really?
No, maybe not. I don't know.
I haven't checked.
All right, Michelle, you could ask your next question if you have one.
I'm still writing.
You still writing?
Writing. Actually, what is the best thing that you like about Kara?
Oh man, working on this was so fun. Like I said, the characters are so cool and so different, and I think when you think about the voice actors that play them, they kind of tailored to our strengths or what we're known for, what we're really comfortable with, and what's in our wheelhouse. And I remember recording with Joel, who is also one of the characters, but he was also the director, and we recorded in his home studio. And we could not stop laughing because he's like, I just wanted to keep giving options and keep trying things differently because we didn't know how they were going to, how it was going to fit in with this world. And so she's just really fun. And I felt really energized after, which is, for me, that's the sign of a really great session when you leave the studio and you're like, I love my job. That was so much fun. So I think Kara makes me feel really energized and ready to take on the world, which was fun.
That's good to know because we were afraid she's definitely one of the more negative of the group.
She is, but I try to be pretty positive. So I think once I can get all of that like road rage anger out of the way, then I can go on with my life in a much more positive setting.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, road rage. That's yeah.
That's one thing I loved about just reading the preview is that I saw some of these characters and I was like, oh, these characters feel so kind of real. Like it's interesting because not a lot of anime just in general, even nowadays, it's getting this thing where characters are getting more defined than even ever before. But Column, because it's set up in a world that doesn't feel too far fetched, it's like, oh, these people, I could kind of see that. And then I remember I heard a voice clip of your character, and I was like, "Whoa!" I was laughing so hard because it was like, it was you. You can tell, and you really got into it. And that's one thing that I feel like, you definitely showed that you love that character because you got into that character.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
It was very well written, so it was easy to do.
Yeah, no, I could already tell Tim, they had a good sense of what they wanted direction wise, and even if they don't feel like they did, I know they did. Because
oh, absolutely, they did.
Yeah, because there's a lot of works, like especially with a lot of the like more indie stuff. It's because that's what they essentially are with this is that you a lot of them do try their best, and sometimes you think, oh, okay, they're missing something here or there, but Colin didn't feel like that. It felt like, oh, okay, this is the direction you guys wanted to go with it, and it comes off that way. That's one of the things I really loved about it. That's why even I'm here today doing this.
We wanted to hire the best because we wanted to avoid that exact feeling you were talking about. So there you go.
Exactly. Which is why it actually goes into my next question. Tim, this is for you, and maybe Mike too at the same time. When you guys were doing Column, what made you go with that audio element of it? Like, why did you think, okay, you know what, I need voice actresses and actors to do these characters and to do these kind of like spin-off little stories and stuff like that? Like, what were you inspired by with that, and why did you feel like it fit with Column?
Probably, I would say probably because we love those elements in video games. For example, like in Metal Gear Solid, when they have there's kind of like an audio drama layered on top of the game.
Yes, there is. Yep.
And it really, really adds to the immersion. And then we saw Borderlands actually did that really, really well.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love some of the characters of that. Yes.
And Cherami's in Borderlands, interestingly enough.
Oh,
actually, I think everybody.
I am. Yeah.
Yeah. She has it already. There's. I don't know if those were officially released on YouTube, or if somebody put them up illegally, but they're whatever. They're on YouTube. You can go look them up. She has as the character.
Was the Gage expansion out by when we met with her? I don't even remember. I don't know, but it was along that line anyway. So it just worked out. We're like, what kind of if we're going to enter the market, what's the spin we can put on it? And we thought that was something at least that's not being done in the West. So let's give it a shot and let's get the best people we can. And the results have been really good in terms of quality. So we just need everybody's support. That's all.
Yep, and like I said earlier, guys, if you want to support this, it's not like you have to donate hundreds of dollars. Donate $5, $10, whatever you got to the Kickstarter. Again, description box. You can go click that link. Help Column, get up there. It's like right now, it's what, like 40%. I think last time I checked, it was like almost 40%.
It's almost there. The digital copy, which comes with, because every copy comes with all the audio.
Right.
It's 91 pages, full color. The digital copy is like $12, and you get everything. So there you go.
Which is a deal. That's a steal. It's like, come on, it is a steal. Michelle, do you have one question now? Your turn. You okay, Michelle?
Oh, I lost Michelle.
No, I think she's here. No, she muted herself. Because I was gonna actually. I was gonna say.
My bad.
That's okay. No worries. We've been starting this thing from so far from the beginning with just constant issues and stuff. We're plowing through somehow. We're still fighting through.
Oh, goodness. Alrighty, so I guess the question is, what conventions are coming up next that you're in, that you're going to participate in?
Who's that aimed at?
And that's for Cherami.
Oh, okay.
That's for Cherami.
I think she's a little behind. That's the problem. Why it does that.
Sorry, my internet is being very weird, I guess. So I'm trying to get an external and hoping if I walk around outside that might help. I don't know.
It's okay.
All right.
That's okay. Okay.
Right, I'll direct a question to you, Michelle, while she does that, because I don't want to have waste our time with this. In terms
Ooh,
of,
okay.
all right, so this question is for you, Michelle, because you definitely have been a big part of this whole thing. It's like, even if people forget that every single Kickstarter and all that always has people behind it too, and you definitely been. I mean, you're the one who told me, hey, do you want to review column? They told me to spread it out, and I was like, oh, okay, which was crazy for me then. But anyways, you are part of a group called APRS, and well, first off, what is that group? And second off, so it's like a dual question, how'd that come to help Column out somehow?
Well, APRS started as kind of like a brainchild of mine. It was a Twitter group. Excuse me.
Okay.
It was a Twitter group, and we actually promote everything in anime. We loved anime so much. Not a taco level, but we loved anime, like really, we're all fans.
Right.
So we wanted to do something for the people that were involved in anime, were involved in all kinds of art. So we just decided that we would retweet and promote conventions. We retweet Japanese, which I translate most of the time.
Oh.
We retweet conventions, charitable work that the VAs do.
Right.
We actually started as kind of like a small group, and we wanted to give something back. So this is our homage to voice actors and anime and everything, because I'm an actual art lover fan.
Right.
And that's why I like anime. And I appreciate everybody that puts in the hard work behind it. So we wanted to do something for them. So this is kind of like our way of doing that. And how I got involved with Colin was Tim had been following me on my personal account for years. And I had asked him originally if he wanted to join APRS. And he said, no, he's too busy. But when the project that he was working on was Colin, after that, he came to me and asked me if we would promote him. And we were so happy to do so that we just did it. And we came up with a bunch of different ideas on promotions and different things, and we just put it out there. And that's how that got started.
Wow. Humble beginnings, right?
Yep.
By the way, if anyone's interested in joining APRS or talking about it, or if you want to follow them and see what they're doing and follow Michelle, also the links to her Twitter feeds and also for the APRS group is in the description box also below, so you guys can do that. So make sure to check them out. They are awesome. I've met several of them now. A few of them are in here moderating right now. And it's just, they are a really swell team and stuff like that. Michelle, by the way, for you, because I think, Cherami, are you working now? Are you good?
Yes, I think so.
All right, yeah, you see, you're responding right away, so that's good. All right. Michelle, you can ask your questions now.
We'll mail her a letter for her responses.
Like, well, it's understandable. It's understandable.
Well, I was just waiting to. I was asking about what conventions are coming up for you, and where are you going to be next?
So I am going to be going to Anime Central in May, and then I'm going to Newcastle in England in June for SunnyCon. And then I am going, actually the week before that, I'm going to BoroCon in Brooklyn. And then I will be in Ohio for MatsuriCon in August. And then there's a couple that we're still like finalizing and figuring out. But I don't want to jump the gun and announce before they want to announce. So those are the ones that I know I'm allowed to talk about right now.
Okay.
The
Brooklyn one is interesting because I'm actually not too far from Brooklyn. I'm like, I want to say maybe an hour and a half away from it because I live in New York myself.
Oh, cool.
So maybe I'll go down there, see what happens.
Because Bryce Pappenbrook and I will be going together, and we haven't done many conventions together since Sword Art came out. When Sword Art first came out, we did like all of our conventions together, and we became really good friends. And his wife is actually my best friend, so I see his wife probably more than I see Bryce. So anytime we get to go to a convention together, as much as I love Bryce, I'm like, great, I get to hang out with his wife, my best friend. It's gonna be our time.
Oh, that's nice though.
Yeah.
So you got a busy schedule ahead of you though. Oh.
Yeah, we just got back from. I was in Wellington, New Zealand. I think 2 weekends ago. So I took my mom to New Zealand. My husband will be going with me to England, and that was my first time in New Zealand, and it was so fun. So it's been a busy couple of months, but I get to meet wonderful people who are excited about the projects, and otherwise, I would think I was just in a padded box talking to myself, and to hear how they connect to the stories and just get how they connect to the characters. It's an added bonus of I love doing my job and I love acting, but then getting to actually meet the people and have conversations, it's kind of like an added present and an added bonus to getting to work on these great shows.
It's very nice. Yeah, you know, that's like I think that's one thing because I do listen to a lot of audio commentary. I'm one of those people that like when I buy the anime on Blu-ray or whatever, I listen to audio commentary, and I'm always curious when people were talking about the experience of being a voice actor. But I noticed you're not the only one to say the padded box joke because like there, you know, that must be because you are in a box. You're talking to what essentially is yourself during that. But
Yeah.
it's like to be able to see your work and then go out and see people's reactions to it. That's just I've always thought that was awesome.
And I've been acting since I was 7, so
Wow.
I'm used to going into a room with one tiny window where you might be able to see people, and you kind of feel like a panda at the zoo, and it's very awkward. But because I started doing it so young, I don't really notice the difference until people are like, "This is actually what happens to people that are crazy. They get put in solitary confinement, and we voluntarily go into a soundproof room and hang out, and we just think it's normal." So yeah, it's very, once you like think about how weird it is, you go, yeah, that's probably not normal. But
I've seen like the behind the scenes of some people. I think it was recently I just saw one for Goku, Sean Simmel, and I saw I saw how he was yelling at the mic, and I was like thinking, this dude is in a box right now in a room by himself, yelling at the top of his lungs to voice the scene. I'm like, well, that must be interesting, definitely.
I think my neighbors like hate me because I record some auditions, and a couple of them will be for a game or for something like that. If I ever had to record Kara from my house, they would probably call someone on me because it's so loud and you're screaming, and they're like, "Oh my God, what is going on in that apartment next door?"
Oh man, I can imagine that. I can legit imagine that.
I have a singer next door to me, so she's always writing music, and I'm always screaming and like killing people, I guess. So.
Oh, that's fun to always admit, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
that's what a lot of the video game auditions have been lately. It's always, death reactions, whatever.
That sounds like a blast, though. That's the thing. It's like that sounds like so much fun.
Definitely keeps things interesting.
Exactly. That's hey, listen, you love your job, right?
I do, absolutely.
Exactly. So that's what makes it even better. And I know a few people in the chat, like for example, the Otaku fangirl. I saw her before. She is trying to be a voice actress herself.
Oh, sweet.
She's going through that. So she's going through that process. Which will lead me into a question. Actually, I'll ask you, what do you have in terms of, and I know you probably get this from a lot of people, so I do apologize, but what do you have tips for people that want to do voice acting? Because I know in this day and age, it seems like everyone wants to do voice acting, and it's getting more and more popular. But you have any tips for people or newcomers?
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing I would say is don't limit yourself to just doing voice acting. It's because, like you said, so many people want to do it. It's such a competitive field, and if you want to make a living being an actor, you want to increase your chances of getting work. And that means, doing commercials or doing industrials or doing theater or doing film work or television or writing your own stuff. I was talking to a friend the other day who is on a soap opera, and she's got a 5-year deal. She's employed for 5 years, guaranteed. And she said, I have to start writing and I have to start producing my own stuff because nowadays it's not enough just to be an actor. You have to be diversifying yourself as an editor or as a voice actor or as a game developer, because you have to be creating your own content, because now there's so many platforms, and why would they hire someone who's just an actor when they can hire somebody who can do 10 other things? So I would say, like, practice singing, practice dancing, all of that stuff helps with your instrument. Be sure that you're, you know, taking care of yourself and staying fit and staying healthy, so that if you have to do mocap, you can handle all the running and the crazy jumps and things like that it requires. You just want to be ready for anything to keep working. And I think the most important thing, no matter what path you take, it is going to be full of rejection and people telling you what you need to change about yourself, or things that they don't like about you. And so creating a sense of self where you say, this is who I am, and this is what I'm not willing to change, or what I'm not willing to negotiate. I mean, certain things, like, I have friends that have said, like, and I'm kind of in the same camp of, I will never do nudity. And so, you know, you have to set those boundaries for yourself and be really firm on them so nobody can push you around. But it's a tough business, and there are days where I think, as much as I love it, should I do something else? And I had a manager that told me, it's hard, but if you can think of anything else that you would rather do that would make you happy than be an actor, you should do that. But if nothing makes you as happy as being an actor does, then that's what you have to do. And my answer has always been, nothing would make me as happy as being an actor. So I know that that is the path that I need to take. So if you love it, and you absolutely love it, you're always going to have to take classes. You're always going to have to be doing workshops. You're always going to have to be doing whatever the case may be to make yourself a more open and receptive human being, so that you can do your job the best. And I feel like if you think that sounds like a fun adventure and that's the path you want to take, it'll be hard, but it'll be worth it.
Well, thank you very much. I think that's something that even if you don't want to be a voice actor or a voice actress, that's something that you can apply to your life. And, you know, people will reject you with certain things, but equally, when you find something you want to do, go for it.
Yeah.
And I know Tim, like, for example, you said before you started doing this, 2013, you were trying to plug this in, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of paths I've pursued, and I hit a lot of walls, and basically this is the in some ways kind of a reaction to that, where I've just taken control, taken a risk, and if I wasn't doing something creative, I think I'd kind of feel the same way Cherami would feel if she wasn't acting, where it's like, it's something inside you got to do it, and it takes a lot of mistakes and a lot of hard work to even keep your head above water, let alone finish. So there you go.
That's the thing. And then, you know what, you wouldn't be here with Colin right now if, it might still be at the early stages of it, but it's still something. It's still going towards something, which is, there are people that can't even get up to this platform, that they're trying still to, crawl their way through, to fight their way through. And, you are a beacon. I mean, all of you in general are beacons for things that people have not done yet and are trying to aspire to do, and to get to that point and to get to that platform. And that's the thing that is so amazing about Colin, and it's so amazing about just in general how much work you guys have put into it. It's definitely something incredible. That's why, I really want people, I keep stressing it, and I'm saying it over and over again, but definitely support it any way you guys can. If you spread the news around, tell people, hey, listen, check out this thing, check out the preview for it. It helps it. It will help. One small thing. Yeah, look, exactly. The preview's free. It's about I think 15 pages, or maybe even more than that. What? 22. Look at that.
They're super generous with the preview.
Yeah, I've seen previews that are maybe 5 pages long. It's like, oh, here we go. This is 5 pages, and then you're supposed to just, what else am I going to get? I don't know. So this way, what you're going to get with this. And the audio you can hear on the website, they have various characters. I think almost every character has.
Every character has a web blog that's like a. It's kind of like if you walked up to them and were meeting them, kind of like in a game, I guess.
Exactly.
Like a quick character introduction that's about a minute.
So what you're getting,
and that's completely different than what you're getting with the package. So
right, and so that's right there. That's awesome right there. So definitely, I'll keep plugging in until the end of this thing, where you go check that out. Michelle, you got anything else, by the way? You're next up on the question list.
Next up, huh?
Yes, you are next up. I don't want to steal the show. I feel like I'm talking, and I'm like, I don't want to just ask the question. I want everyone to be part of this.
Let's see. Well, I did want to give away one of the Crunchyroll passes.
Oh, go ahead. Yes, we did. We did mention we were going to do that.
Ooh.
So yes,
Yep.
give one away.
Courtesy of Crunchyroll, I got 90-day passes, premium. And
It's not
I'm
1 month.
thinking of
That's not 2 months. That's 3 months.
yep. And
It might be
it's
bad
all
math,
free.
but I know that.
So, the trivia question that I have right now is the first person to answer this, I'll give them the code for the 90-day pass. And
Listen up, people in the chat.
that is what character has Cherami voiced in that was the same character in the reboot years later?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I don't know if I know the answer to that. It's terrible. That is terrible. But if you have the answer to that, people put into the chat, and you get yourself a 90-day free pass. Crunchyroll. With anime. I mean, I'm not sponsored by Crunchyroll. If Crunchyroll should be somehow watching this, you want to sponsor me, go for it. I'll be happy with that.
Like, I'll take it.
I'll take that. Yes.
There's a Crunchyroll sushi bar down the street. I'm gonna go get some gift certificates.
Dude, I actually no kidding. I actually was thinking of getting sushi earlier, and I was like, I don't have the money for sushi, and then I ended up spending more money on something else. So it's like, well,
you're in New York. You got a lot of good places right in walking distance. So
yeah. Well, luckily, I live near a beach area, so it's like there's a lot of restaurants and a lot of places you can go get different types of foods. I mean, like legit, there's a Thai place like maybe a half a block away, and then you have a a Japanese restaurant, and then you have a Chinese restaurant, and then you also have various diners. I'm like. But the same token, though, it's like, yeah, I'm not in the main city, so I'm not in Manhattan, but there are still a lot of places over here to eat, which is not always a good thing, by the way. It's not good if you're on a diet. That's what I should say.
That's fair.
All right, so Michelle, do you wanted to give away, but you have a question for anyone?
Actually, I think you asked my questions already. So,
wait, what? I stole your questions?
You stole my question.
No, I did really?
She's coming for you now.
Oh my god! No, see, that's like specifically why I said I wasn't going to do certain questions because I was like afraid I'd steal it by accident.
Yep, that's okay.
You guys,
that's all the questions I have.
Can you think of anything on that? No?
Nope.
See, now I feel like an ass. Like, I'm sorry.
No, it was a general question anybody would have asked. So.
Okay, well, listen. At least we're all here doing stuff. So, Tim, I'll ask you a question now with this. Then it's very similar to Cherami's question. For people that were in your shoes or in your shoes currently, in terms of getting like stuff like Column off the ground, what advice do you have for them?
Set objectives. Know it's going to cost time and money.
Right.
Set realistic goals. I tend to be overly ambitious, and the fact that I got this project as far as it is probably more of a miracle than careful planning. So, but things are not impossible, but start small and you're going to screw up. You're going to make mistakes, and things are going to fail, and you have to just you have to take every experience like that and then just move on and keep going
Right.
because it's an uphill battle every step of the way, all the way to the last second. So it's like, it's kind of a cliche. Oh, don't get discouraged, but it's really, I mean, that's the difference is basically whether you keep going or not is whether you finish. So there you go.
Well, it's not. That's word of wisdom in life in general too. It's the same concept is that, there are. For example, I've hit many roadblocks myself, just not even doing YouTube, just in general in life. And if I would let them stop me, I wouldn't be where I'm at in life. So it's like, it's definitely something where you just can't give up. If you learn anything from Cherami, if you learn anything from Tim, don't give up. I tell people that constantly who say, that they want us to stop doing this or they want to stop doing that because they can't do it or they want to just set these realistic goals. Yeah, you can set realistic goals, sure, but at the same token, there's a reason why we dream, and I think that's something people forget, that we do dream about stuff we want to do, and sometimes we can go for it. If you can go for it, go for it.
And I know so many people, I've had friends that have said they're really, really talented, and they've got an idea and they've got everything that it takes to get there. And they won't get the job, or they can't finish the comic, or they can't finish the novel, or they're just hitting roadblock after roadblock.
Right.
And they're incredibly talented. They're great writers. But or great actors, whatever the case is, but they say this is just too hard and they give up. And the people that make it and succeed, like Tim said, there's going to be roadblocks. You're not going to get things done. There's going to be mistakes. But that's the difference between super talented people that never make anything happen and talented people who do. Or you could find somebody that's maybe not as great of an actor, but they don't give up and they always show up and they're always taking classes and they're always doing what they want to do. And those are the people that are going to be successful because they didn't quit.
There you go. Michelle, by the way, if you want, since I took your questions like the mean person I am for doing that, you can you can go into the chat, and if you see anyone have questions, you can ask them yourself and ask everyone here. So I believe we have already some questions.
Definitely answer chat questions because this is kind of a weird project because it's so different. And if we're like, is it an audiobook? Is it what? And it's a little hard to get your head around until you know what it is. So I'm always happy to answer questions
if you have questions for Tim, if you have questions for Tim, if you have questions for Mike, who did the audio and sound stuff for it, music also, I believe, right? You said music he did too.
Yeah, there's a little bit of music.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know why I said Nothing else to add there.
It's okay. But yeah, Michelle, we have a few questions that you can ask from the chat.
So I noticed the posters on the Kickstarter page, and this, you might have already answered this question, but the artist who did the actual webcomic, I know they did some of the posters because the art is similar, but then there's some pinup posters.
Yeah,
is that a different artist or is that the same artist?
We reached out to some guys who do kind of a different style because we were trying to basically base those off of other copies of like World War II propaganda with like a modern spin on it. So that's what those are. So they're different. So they are a different artist. One of them's
cool.
Pandava. The other one's Nathan Cesardi, and they've been absolutely excellent. And we want to do ones for each character. So we set some stretch goals. Just the first two stretch goals are for Millie and Hunter. And then if you want to get one, there's like an option to commission one if you want. And then that can be whoever you want.
I don't know, but who else is looking forward to Hash with just the helmet and the goggles and nothing else? No? Okay.
I'll tell you who I know is looking forward to it, and that's Austin Tyndall.
Oh.
We'll do a special Jack one for him. There you go. But yeah, that's what those are about basically. And there's like a exclusive version which we have like a limited print run of, which is like the slightly sexier version, and then there's like the regular one which just kind of looks like World War II propaganda. So there you go.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed about the style. Like it has that World War II look to it. It's actually kind of cool because it's got that modern spin to it too as well, which I always like.
There you go.
Let's see.
I'll make sure we send stuff with your characters in it to you, Cherami. So there you go.
Oh, sweet! Thank you. I was super impressed with the art style. I mean, obviously for the comic, I like love it and I love the style. But I was like, oh my gosh, look at all these posters! Look at all this fun stuff.
See, you get some swag from doing this. Look,
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Michelle,
okay, I got
something.
here. Yep, I got something from the chat.
All right, go for it.
Question for Cherami. How did you manage to deal with all the death in Iron-Blooded Orphans?
Oh my gosh. I did not deal well. If you have not seen Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans, or actually really, if you've seen any Gundam series, they're pretty heavy. But Iron-Blooded Orphans was actually the very first Gundam project that I worked on, and I've since worked on Thunderbolt and then Gundam Seed and Gundam Destiny. But man, I'm a huge fan of Biscuit and the whole Cookie Cracker family.
Those names are still like.
That was part of why I loved them in the beginning. But I call them the Carb family. But Biscuit really gutted me, and so I don't want to spoil anything, even though I kind of already have. But that was just the beginning of what was to come, and it was pretty brutal and pretty intense. And then we got into season 2, and I said, I don't know if I'm ready for this. And they said, oh, you're definitely not ready for this. But I also wasn't ready for some of the comedic moments. Comedic for everybody else. It gave me a little bit of an anxiety attack. And if you've seen all of season 2, you know what I'm talking about. There's a scene with Cassandra's character and my character where a little arrangement was brought up. And I, as the actor, did not know how my character was going to respond, even though the script was right in front of me. It was a very stressful moment. And that's just kind of what Gundam does to you. It's an emotional roller coaster.
Gundam hits you in the feels. It does.
Yes, it does. Oh, yeah. They're like, do you love this character? Do you want to be best friends with this character? What if we kill them? And that's kind of what they do best. And it hurts me every single time.
If you want the Game of Thrones version of like a Gundam series, you watch Gundam Modern Blood Orphans, because people die in that, and it's like, that's not really we won't say who dies in it specifically, because in case people do want to watch it, but yeah, I've seen most of it,
and it's never usually, I mean, in my experience in working on Gundam, multiple times where there is a death, you're like, oh, this is so painful, and then there's like some little bitty nugget that they want to reveal to the character who like is living through this tragedy, and you're like, thanks for the sucker punch. I was already in a lot of pain and you just made it so much worse. They do that really well.
See, I love when anime does that. Like, I hate to say it, but only the fact that when you can't predict who's gonna die in a series, that always to me makes it very interesting.
Oh yeah, because like Gundam, nobody is sacred. Like anybody can go. So it definitely keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, and I think any show that does that is just awesome.
Yeah, totally.
Because like one thing about anime is that sometimes you get, because at least for me, I've watched almost like 1,000 shows, and you get almost used to it, where you're like, oh, okay, from the way they're doing this character, they're gonna die off. And then,
you're like, there are no flaws to this character. Right. All I feel is love for them. They're gonna go.
Michelle knows what I'm saying. Michelle knows what I'm saying with that. It's like you get so used to it that it's like, oh well, I'm not gonna fall for this character, because if I do, they're gonna die next episode probably, or the 2 episodes from now. But now, Iron Blood Orphans, you're like, what happened?
Yeah, there were many times where I looked over to the director and I was like, no, this is a fake out, right? This isn't like, real.
Probably no.
And he was like, haven't you learned? No.
Haven't you learned yet? This is how I've been doing this.
Yeah, I never learn.
Oh, by the way, I just saw Dance the Vampire Bunch like yesterday.
Oh,
and I saw the whole thing.
I love that show. It's a great
I was so excited about that. When they started auditioning for that, they were telling us, like, if you want to audition for this, cool, but be really careful, because it's on like some sort of watch list, because like I don't know, they were saying it was like really crazy, and I think somebody at one point was like, it's on like a government watch list because it's so intense, and I was like, what? No, it can't be. And if it is, then I guess by working on it, I'm on some sort of government watch list, which was fun.
Well, that wasn't my list, and it just got knocked up a couple rungs higher.
I don't know if it's true or not, but they were like, just beware. I was like, whatever. When I worked on Fast Food Nation, we had to change the working title every single day, and we got a different top secret title that we were working on our call sheet, just because there were people that wanted to shut down production because it was revealing what the fast food industry was like. And so I was like, well, I guess I'm probably on a list for that, so why not?
That must be interesting. It keeps you on your toes. You're like, oh,
yes.
See, you think all we're doing is voicing? No, we're doing other things too. We're part of like conspiracies to ruin businesses and to just to let the truth out.
You do what you can. Telling stories.
Michelle, by the way, did you see any other questions from the chat that you would like to ask any of our people?
Let's see.
Because I saw a few, but I'm giving that role to you. You're specifically on that. I don't want to steal any more questions.
Let's see. This is for Cherami. What did you like about portraying Miss Golden Week from One Piece, and the thoughts on the character?
I love Miss Golden Week. I love One Piece. I've gotten to play, I think, 4 different characters on that show. And One Piece has like no rules. You can be crazy and off the wall, which I've done. And then Miss Golden Week is a little bit more reserved, but still quirky. And I loved just getting to go back in and jump into the One Piece world. I think she would be a really fun cosplay. She's kind of just very mysterious and quirky, and I love her very much. I wish I got to voice her more. It's been like, I think at least 5 or 6 years since I've gotten to voice her, so I miss her.
Wow. Let's see. Michelle, if you want, by the way, you can do another giveaway for it. I don't think because already we have one person who apparently got the answer for it, right?
I missed it. I have no idea.
Yep.
One person, yeah. So you can ask another one.
One person did. It was
Yay.
Sailor Venus.
Yay!
Heroes by moonlight. Yes, I know most of that song. I grew up with the old Sailor Moon.
That
Don't judge me.
that is actually the first anime that I've ever seen in English.
That was my first anime that I've seen as well.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Oh.
so I watched that on television when I was a kid, and that was my first introduction to anime. My second introduction to anime was Pokemon, and I played the card game series with my brother on Saturdays, and that was my way of like, my brother is gonna like me. We are gonna bond. And he beat me every single time, so I think that's the only reason he played with me. But I loved Sailor Moon, so I thought all anime was Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, and Pokemon. And then when I started working at Funimation, I was like, this is very similar to anime, but it's not, because it's not one of those 3 shows. And they're like, oh, sweet Cherami, just come over here and we will introduce you to the wonderful world of anime.
We're gonna change your life. You're gonna see that there's more than just those.
Pretty much. So it was very surreal when I got to work on Sailor Moon years later, because I was like, what? This is so crazy. This is like my very first show that I watched, and they called me. I was on the way to my rehearsal dinner for my wedding, and said, would you like to be in Sailor Moon? We have a couple of strict stipulations and guidelines we need you to agree to first. And I was like, yes, whatever they are, yes. And that was that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I used to watch that with my sister when I was younger. So.
Aw. Yeah, it's a fun show.
I watched that with my cousin Sailor Moon. That was like what because they loved Sailor Moon. They were all girls at the time, and the thing was like, can we watch Sailor Moon? And I'm like, yeah, just sure, because I was a little older than them, but at the same time, one of my cousins was a little older than me, so she was the one who had the rule on that. So lo and behold, that's how I started watching it. And I think episode I want to say because I didn't start at the beginning. I had to go back to start at the beginning, but I was like episode 20 or something like that where they just introduced a certain character, and then I'm like, oh, this isn't bad.
Yeah, you're like, wait, what have I missed?
My first true entering of anime was Guyver, Bioboost Armor Guyver, the old one, the one where it was like what I think it was Manga Tokyo that did the publication for it, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, I need more anime in my life, so I started watching. I mean, I watched Pokemon, obviously, I watched Dragon Ball, all this stuff, but that was like my first true foray into it.
Sweet.
Yeah. For my dad though, it was Gigantor and Speed Racer, and Voltron.
Ah, yeah.
Which he also showed me, and I was like, "But this is really old." When I was a kid, I was like, "This is old." But
I actually watch subbed, but a lot of times I do watch dubbed if it's only available, legally speaking. And I did like some dubs, but mostly, you know what? I forgot my point.
I was like that before. I saved it. I was like, well, let me just change this really fast. But no one noticed. Maybe a few did, but whatever.
Whoops.
I wait for the dub. I'm stubborn. I get a better experience when I watch it in English the first time. So
Dude, don't feel bad. My dad, for example, like he watches a lot of anime, surprisingly, with me, and he's like, no, I want to watch it dub. I'm not watching this in Japanese, man. I'm sorry. And I'm like, no, but they're good. And he's like, no, I need to watch it dub. And I'm like, oh. Well.
Yeah, I think whatever anybody's preference is, my thing is, I'm like, it's a great show. It's got a great message, and whatever way is going to help you enjoy it and get you to watch it,
Exactly.
then that is the way that you need to watch it. Just we want more people watching the shows and experiencing this beautiful art form and this style of media. And if that's watching it with an English dub or with a German dub or sub, like whatever your preference is, watch it the way you prefer.
Cherami just ended the dub versus sub debate, people. No more dubs better than sub or subs are better. No, just ended it right
I
there.
actually like appreciate the dub because it would get out to more audiences than it would if it was just
Exactly.
subtitled.
Sword Art Online, for example, when people started watching that in dub, that was one of the big mainstream. It still is one of the big mainstream anime that I know some people that was their first anime. They're like, I watched this series called Sword Art Online. Dude, you ever see it? I'm like, yes, because I originally saw it at sub, but I did watch the dub for it. And they're like, dude, this is amazing. Is there other stuff like this? And I'm like, yes, it's quite a bit. And then I started showing them Japanese stuff too. And they're like, wait, there's subs for this? And I'm like, yes, there's.
It's so interesting just in the short time that I've been working in the dubbing industry, like how much it's changed. And now with Netflix and Hulu and some of these services that are providing brand new anime, and people are like getting Netflix just for House of Cards or whatever their show is. And they're like, well, what's this? I'll binge watch this. And then they're watching anime and they never would have watched it before. I was telling, I think Cassandra Lee Morris, I said when I was in high school, the anime club was like 12 people after school, and it was kind of like Fight Club. Nobody talked about it. And now people are wearing anime t-shirts to school, and they're in Hot
So
Topic
true.
or they're online, and suddenly
that
it's
the other
like
day,
it's
too.
no longer this like quiet club thing that's going on after
There's
school. It's
anime
like
clubs.
everybody knows about it.
Or you don't get like not I would say bullied person, but you don't get that weird look of like, what are you watching? What's this?
Yeah, totally.
People now, everyone. I was talking about the other day where you during my school time, I didn't see anyone wearing anime shirts. Now, when I got to college level, people were wearing Dragon Ball Z shirts. They were wearing Sword Art Online shirts. They were wearing Tokyo Ghoul, everything you could think of. And I was like, oh, look, it's way different than when I was in school.
It's so amazing. And like, my husband was watching, we loved Black Panther. And so he was watching interviews because he loves to watch interviews after we see the movie. And Michael B. Jordan was like, yeah, I totally dig Dragon Ball Z. And my husband was like, Michael B. Jordan loves anime. I was like, yeah, a lot of people love anime. I met a Green Bay Packer football player who is Green Bay Packers are my team, and met him at Comic-Con, and he was like, hey, I'm a huge fan of Sailor Moon, and I want to watch Sword Art Online, and I have seen you in all this stuff, and you're going to be in Boruto. And so we got to go hang out with his family at Lambeau Field, which is like the pilgrimage for my dad for football. And it was so crazy because I'm like, anime is bringing people together, and we are going to watch football, and this is so weird, but cool.
That's actually, by the way, we have a very good question from one of my friends, Memory NK, who's also a YouTuber. This probably would be better for Tim. Is there any special meaning / symbolism behind the title column?
Oh, behind the title?
Yes. That's a good question.
Well, the symbolism's kind of simple. Basically, as the story progresses, this tank crew makes their way across mainland Europe and eventually into Asia. But it's like a progressing story. And the next location they go to Britain, and they pick up a Challenger tank and a goofy group of people, not dissimilar to the American crew. And then they go to France, and they pick up a Leclerc, and so on as they move across, and they're building a column of armor. And basically kind of like a international team of tanks and fun people. So there you go.
Oh, look at that. That's actually pretty cool, though. See, you think that's simple, but realistically, I don't think that's that simple. That's actually pretty interesting the way you did that.
Yeah,
he's super humble and doesn't realize how wise he is, that he has created like such a possibility for growth.
Exactly, I agree with you because
like, it's simple. It's like that's why you're a creator and a genius.
Because I don't think true artists.
Go Tim.
Dropping that G word by somebody I respect. Whoa.
It's crazy. Like when you have someone say something, like it's like, oh, it has so much more of a definition. If someone else says it, it's like, oh, thank you very much. It's very nice of you. But when voice actors like Cherami Leigh says it, what?
That means a lot. But yeah, I mean, we want to take this thing. We want to keep providing more fun and more stories and more entertainment, and take this as far as it'll go. And that's why we're asking for support. It's because we want to be able to print enough to get it in stores and spread its popularity around, and then we can give more work to Cherami. I think everybody's happy. So.
I mean, like, I was telling Michelle this earlier. I'll tell you, Tim. Anything that I make from this, I'm gonna apply to, column. I already planned it. I'm gonna put more money into it already because I did back it already, as you know. But I'll put more money. I wish, dude, if I was rich, I'd back this whole damn thing. Like legit for myself. I'd be like, hey, I'm gonna do it. I'm unfortunately not rich. At the moment, I'm only a writer, so it's like I make some money, but not very much, unfortunately. So I can't do that, but I will still, like, everything we make from this obviously will go toward that. I planned that before.
Well, one of the things we did was we took as much of the risk and as much of the cost up front and finished the product. We were really, really reluctant to go basically crowdsource and be like, oh, here's our idea and it might sound cool, and here's all the people we want to hire, and it's like,
that's a risk though. That's a gamble.
That's cool, but like, we haven't done it yet. Now we've actually created this thing, and we just need help putting it right over the edge. So we're a lot more comfortable coming up and being like, hey, we basically, here's your chance to pre-order, and we can throw in some cool stuff, and you can be, there's like a tier to be like in the special thanks page and whatnot. So it's a little special, and then we can print this thing and help launch it. But basically, it's as low risk as possible. So that was one of the things we thought was really important.
See, that's why you can't be that humble about this. I mean, you have to I understand that humble nature, but the thing is that for this is not you've clearly put thought in this, because I agree with you. I've seen a lot of Kickstarters fail because they tell people, okay, this is what we want to do, but when it comes to push comes to shove, it's like, well, this is all we have right now, and lo and behold, we don't have enough to actually do it, and then things just fall apart from there. So I mean,
here's 5 pages of preview art, and here's my idea, and then it does get funded, like you don't see anything for 5 years.
Right.
So.
Right.
We wanted to avoid that and be like, hey, we have the product, it's finished. This is, it exists, and
it's ready to go.
Exactly.
Yep.
And you guys could help with that. Like I said before, go in the description. I have to keep saying, listen, it might get annoying to some people, but I have to keep saying it. Go to the description, go to the Kickstarter, pledge some money. I've already seen several people say that they've done it. I saw a memory say he did it. Thanks a lot, man. And Tim obviously is going to be thanking you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes.
We cannot do this without your help. So
it's small amounts, not like you don't have to do hundreds of dollars. Trust me, it's just small amounts. Get things. People don't realize. I'm not saying not to, but I'm just saying I think with the anticipation that yes, some of us might not be able to do that. We'll keep it realistic with that.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the other thing is like you can actually get. I mean, it's digital, but you'll get the whole experience with the audio and everything for like $12, and we can send you everything. So,
which is that's a steal. Like I said before, it's a steal.
Low barrier to entry is what we're going for.
And what I love is I was telling someone recently, for example, if you thought about it, if one person out of 1,000 people pledged $1, and everyone pledged of that 1,000 group pledged $1 to something, that's $1,000. It's like.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's just one small amount, but it becomes something that adds up. So definitely go do what you can do, because I know it's hard with money. I know.
It's definitely been a challenge getting this in front of the audiences that are interested.
Yeah,
people who see it or love it, but I'm not a very good hype man, and I'm not that great at marketing.
You're doing fine, man. You're doing.
That's what we're trying to do.
That's what we're trying to do with this stream, and Michelle's definitely trying to do with APRS, which, it's everyone's trying to do this. We got your back, man. You're not alone. You're alone.
Thanks, brother.
You're welcome, man.
We are the world.
I just felt it.
What was this? Michelle, you have another? You want to give away another code, by the way? Ask another question.
Okay, I'll make it easy.
Oh. I think the last one was kind of tougher, first one, but someone still got it.
Who does the voice of Hatch and Column?
Oh, so this is gonna be some work on you folks. You gotta go to the actual site, look it up, and see who does it.
Or you can go to the Kickstarter page.
Oh, that's a better idea.
Donate while you're there and get the answer.
Yeah. There you go. See, then you get double things. You get the reward of actually helping out with this, and also you get the reward of getting a code for
Yeah, message
90
me
days.
as a backer, and then I'll send you the answer.
just wait. Everyone else will do it.
I'll send you the answer. I will walk you down the path of winning this code.
Step one, just donate. Then I'll message you. Be like, okay. Oh my God.
We were just so happy to work with the people we worked with. I mean, just and Cherami, like you submitted a bunch of auditions for the characters, which again like was surprising. It was
They
like,
were
oh my God, somebody actually wants to work with us, and they were all amazing. And we had such a hard time like picking who was going to play who. It was just you could have been anybody. It would have been awesome.
Yeah,
That,
yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things that whenever there's like content and scripts and people send me auditions, if the writing is good, and I'm super excited and I'm like, you know what, I don't even care if I don't get to play any of these characters. I just want to read them. I just want to jump in. I just want to try. And for these like 15 to 30 seconds, at least I can jump into this character's shoes and have some fun. And when the writing is good, the audition seems like it flies by and you just want more. So that was the case with this project. Is the writing was good. The characters were so much fun. And I was like, I'm going to read for all of them. I don't even care. I just want to play.
We really appreciated that, and it made it hard for us because we absolutely loved everything you did. So
Made it hard
thank
for you,
you.
but it made it hard for you. But at the same token, you're like, hey, this is awesome. We can give her what role we think she'll work best with. And so it's like, yeah, it's a double. Take it as what it is, right? I hear a helicopter, by the way. I just realized I hear a helicopter.
This is part of what makes life a little bit difficult when you have to audition for things. And a couple weeks ago, there was a water main that like broke down the street.
Oh wow!
And there were helicopters, like 4 helicopters, circling our street for like 45 minutes. And I was like, man, I got to get these auditions done. It's going to sound like I'm on the run. But yeah, that's what's kind of tricky. Or motorcycles or anything. There's been so many times where I've had to stop an on-camera audition or stop a voiceover.
Well, Kate Bristol's audition.
Wait for a plane or wait for a helicopter.
Yeah, Kate Bristol's
crazy.
audition, which was kind of funny. When she lived in New York, it was like a train was going by in the background. So that's kind of a running joke.
Welcome to that. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
The beauties of living near any train of New York.
I bet she was like, and sometimes it's painful because you're like, oh my God, that was such the perfect read. And there's a motorcycle that just went right through it. I had one audition where I was when I was traveling and going to conventions like every weekend a couple of years ago. I would get an email and they're like, can you send us something in the next like 20 minutes or before you board this plane? And so I was pretty well aware and I was like sending to my voice acting friends. I'm like, hey, by the way, this airport bathroom is silent. It has no music. These 12 do play music in the bathroom. And so you have to go in like the family restroom and put a blanket over your head and record this into your phone and send it in. And one of them was for a big game for Warner Brothers, and there was music underneath it, and they thought I scored my audition. And they were like, the music just worked so beautifully. And I was like, I'm glad. So I got a call back, and I walked in. I was like, guys, I actually recorded that in a bathroom, and I'm so thankful to the Massachusetts airport for its beautiful score. They got me a call back. It was so weird.
You could have lied and said, oh, but I set that up. That was me. Yep, totally did that.
Yeah, I wrote that music just for you guys. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then it would come back to bite me if they were like, would you score the game? And I'm like, oh, no. I can't play any instruments.
No, then you have to go to the airport and get them to like, oh, hey, listen, what music did you use? Who did that?
Yeah, who is this?
Let me know who.
Got like a microphone in the bathroom. You're locked in there for like 6 hours.
Record different songs, and then just send them like, oh, this is this song. I did this real fast.
These are the options. Yeah, yeah. You're just gonna have to put them on loop because this is all I've got.
That's great.
Tim, I was gonna ask you a question before, and I just remembered now. Actually, I'll ask it to I'll ask actually Mike because he hasn't really gotten to answer a whole bunch of questions. In terms of like the sound, did you guys run into any issues like do it sound or all that or stuff like that? Because I mean, that has to be something of its own challenge in its own right.
Well, I guess the only issue was my own inexperience. Well, in not in cutting the voices together, but in standard practice, as we were talking about a while ago, is you set people up in a little padded room. But aside from the comedic factor, the point of that is sound isolation and make everything basically no reverberation. But we didn't want these to sound like an audiobook or like something. They're kind of supposed to sound like field recordings. So I purposely had to make them like slop. Like we did different things for each character and what fit. And there was like a lot of experimentation with like, I don't know, I'll just say Jax off the top of my head. He's kind of is almost like an anxious energy. He's sort of the comedic. And so I basically put him in a room in like an office chair and had to record like office chair moving around noises and then it was a neat project. Yeah, for Kara, we put her like in the tank since she's the driver and the engineer, and so she just recorded hers kind of sitting in a tank. So to mess with different reverbs and she wears her headphones and listens to that darned rock and roll all the time. We just make her an angry character to the soul. They were right. Our parents were our parents in the sick because all of us were born in 1964. I guess I don't know. Sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that was a challenge, or it ended up being fun. But I'm just the kind of person who, if I feel incompetent or like I don't know exactly what has to be done, it like gives me a lot of anxiety. That was like challenging for me, but it worked out, and I'm pretty darn happy with how everything turned out. And obviously, the acting was all amazing and on point, so that helped.
That makes things. Again, I mean that's why we hire professionals, but like you kind of don't appreciate how important that is until you have it in front of you and you realize like this makes our life so much easier because we don't have to chop up 1,000 takes and change context, and it doesn't sound like a web show or something. Like it sounds right, and so we're very thankful to the actors for that.
I love, by the way, some of the people I know. I know some of these people the comments, and they're very interesting people. Thank you for being here, by the way, folks. You're keeping us alive to a certain degree. I did. Wait, did I see any questions, Michelle? You have any questions from anyone that you saw?
Still looking for the voice actor for Hatch.
People, come on now. This is go to like you said, go to the Kickstarter, go to the website. You can find it there. Trust me. It's not that hard. 90-day free trial. Before I would have taken that's 3 months. Oh, well, it is 3 months, not like 3 months.
And that is courtesy of Crunchyroll.
Yes,
I did get it from Miles.
I was telling Michelle the other day about this, and it just was funny to me that when she said that, I was like, oh, Cherami Leigh's going to be on your channel and we'll do a stream. Like, I'm sorry, excuse me, what? And I was missed. I kid you not, because I am one of the out of all my friends, because a lot of us do YouTube and stuff like that. I am the smallest channel out of them, and it's like they have not had that thing of getting someone. What's up? No, I didn't want to brag about it because I felt so bad because I was like, how do I tell them that I'm getting a voice actor on my channel to talk about anything or even just be here? And I felt bad because I know some people are like, dude, excuse what, you got some? Wait, who'd you get? And I'm like, Hasana's voice actress. What? What?
Oh, they know how we felt once they're like, these people agreed to work with us. We're like,
I can only imagine, but I'm like. I have never done, because I've never had really anyone on my channel that has been big, so it's like, holy crap. And I know you're a busy person, with everything coming up and stuff like that, so it's like, even having you here in the first place, again, thank you very much. It's from the bottom of my heart. And I know Tim and
well, thank you. This is fun.
We are so glad that when you moved to LA, you didn't disappear. That was our fear. Or VO, or like would just be like randomly popping up, and that didn't happen, so we were so happy.
No, that's what a lot of people said. When you move to LA, are we just not gonna see you? And a lot of my friends from Texas that I went to high school with, they're like, "You're still the same person." I was like, "It's not like when I moved to a different coast that I suddenly become a different human being." They're
I think with
"I know,
California,
but
they always do that,
you're
though.
not."
I think the presumption is when you go to
Now, if
California,
I
of all
moved to
places,
New
it
York,
changes
I
you.
might become a totally different human being. Who knows?
Yeah, if you go to New York City specifically, it changes you. There's something about New York City itself that like makes you change slowly, but it does change you. No, it's like I know.
It's all
for
the
example,
snow, all the coats.
just no, but even just the people too. And I'm not saying it's a bad way. I'm just saying that it changes this. Like, I went to school in Pennsylvania for a while because I lived in New York my whole life for the most part, but I did live in PA for a little while. And my one friend lived in PA his whole life, and he's like, "I'm moving to New York, man. You know, we'll hang out sometimes." Like, yeah, dude, you think that, but you're gonna get busy with work and stuff like that. He's like, "Nah, He got so busy, and the New York life changed him into the terms of like he just got very, just active, more active than he's ever been in his life. And I'm like, the city changes you. It does change you. I think even with like California, that's to a certain degree changes you, but I don't think you forget where your roots are though. Like I think people legitimately think, oh, you're gonna forget who you were.
Yeah.
It's
No,
like,
that's
I'm
important.
I'm not gonna forget who I was. Come on now.
I think if you're, I think my family would probably lock me back in my room, make me think about what I did,
How dare you?
and fix that real quick.
How
They
dare you?
literally keep you grounded.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Cause I'd be like, what? It's like, but mom and dad, I don't, I'm not a teenager anymore. No, you go to your room. You think about what you changed as a person.
Oh, I will always need my mom and dad. I talk to my mom probably every day.
Mm.
And I will call my parents. My husband and my parents are the first people that I call with good news and with bad news. So I'm very lucky that I've had family that has supported me since I was a kid, saying that I wanted to be in this crazy business. And I think my dad at one point, he was like, "Are you sure you don't want to be a lawyer? You're really good in debate." And I was like,
Wow.
No. And so now he's like, "I still think you should be on a law show." I'm like, "Okay, cool. That's how you get your lawyer daughter, Dad. I'll be a lawyer on some show."
Well, you got to kill somebody on Bones, right? There you go. Wasn't that the one? You were on a was it Bones? Was that the one?
Yeah, I was on Bones. I was not. Everyone's like, "You were not so nice on Bones." I was just very misunderstood.
It's like, do you realize it's a role, right? People like that's not me. It's a role I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, I did one film recently called Beyond the Farthest Star, and it's a faith-based film, but it's not your typical faith-based film. We had a very hard time releasing it because the traditional faith-based distributors said it was too dark and too real, and that no faith-based audience wanted to see it. And so we screened it for a couple of churches and pastors, and I was at a couple of the screenings, and we had a couple of people that came out afterwards, families at some of the churches. I think some of them were youth pastors or whatever the case is, and they were like, "If you were my child, I would have punched you." And I was like, "Oh my God, can you say that?"
That movie sounds familiar though. Like I feel like I know
was like,
that movie.
"It's not me." They're like, "You're really nice in person. You were horrible." I was like, "Actually, I think you missed the whole point of the movie." But thanks.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
I would punch you. Are you part of the church, or maybe you just dress like a person from the church? What? I don't think a person from the church would say they're gonna punch you.
Yeah, I thought that was weird too, but
it's like I'm glad to know. Like the church changed in some time period, huh?
We love the
at least that one did. We had some that were very lovely and very receptive, but there were a couple in particular that had a pretty aggressive response to my character.
Maybe they read the hidden Bible verses about Jesus' time with fisticuffs in his late 20s, I guess.
Oh my god.
Oh, jeez. Well, we're happy to have you. We knew you were nice. We knew you weren't Tara.
Well, thank you so
or
much.
not Natsumi from Fucking Frog. That's what reminded us kind of the most in terms of like the sass. We're like, yeah, we're hearing that and we love it. So
Yay.
that might have put it over the top for who cast you. I'm trying to remember what the thought process was.
I see.
Yeah,
people-
that's the fun part. Those are a lot of the things that she says, and a lot of the things that other characters that I've played say. I would not get to say in real life without losing a lot of friends or getting arrested. And so when I have a safe place to say those things, I'm like, oh, I can explore what it's like to be this type of human being, and okay, I'm good. I don't really want to be this person all the time. So I've always said I love being an actor because it gives me a fuller human experience. I can step into the shoes of someone else, and like the character that I played on Bones, I stepped into the shoes of that person and was like, I am very happy to step right out. But I was very excited to get to play that character. And some of those characters that are darker or more depressing or sad, they bring out stuff that I have not wanted to deal with in my life in some way, shape, or form. And I'm like, oh, okay. Now we got to unpack this emotional baggage and move on. And then I can get rid of it and be a happier, healthier human because of it. So it all works out.
You get to at least run the gauntlet of different characters, like that's because I know some voice actors they'll specifically stay. If I could speak today, specifically stay with one type of tone, and it's like, yeah, but we're getting so used to you doing that. But then there are some like you, for example, who just go through everything. They go besides just your voice actor, they'll go to characters that they're not even close to being like, and that's goes to show your fortitude as an actor or an actress.
Well, thank you. I mean, it also it has to deal with people that are willing to see you in a different light and give you the opportunity to play something outside of what you're normally cast as. And of course, there's still times where people say, hey, I heard you play such and such a character. I really liked it. I want you to do that. Basically the same thing again. But let's add this little element so it's different and it's fun for you. So yeah, just the more people are willing to let me try different things, then it broadens my range, and then I get to play a more diverse range of characters. So
very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, congratulations on My Hero Academia.
thank you. Yeah, I was super stoked about that.
show. Oh yeah, I forgot you're voicing one of the dubs for one of the Pussycats, right? I believe.
Yeah, I'm voicing Pixie Bob, which was very fun. I've been a fan of the show for a while, and so when the audition came through, I was actually getting over being sick, and I was like, oh no, this is not going to work. And Colleen, I sent in an audition, and she said, I could tell something was off with your voice, but I know you, and it was almost healed. So I was like, she's going to be fine. This character was like made for her. So it was very fun. Pixie Bob is so much energy that they kept saying like, you can give us a little more. I was like, oh, okay. And they're like, you give us a little more. I was like, wow, she is a nutcase. But it's so much fun to play.
I love that. I saw that episode yesterday, the sub for it. I was like, oh my god. So and then I saw your announcement on your Twitter.
All over the place vocally, which is so much fun. Like I was like, do I have to do this normal cheerleader high pitched voice? She's like, no, you could drop it down real low when she gets angry. I was like, okay, cool. I could be all over the place.
Oh, that's awesome though. Yes, congratulations, yes, on that, definitely.
Yeah, it's also really difficult, or not difficult, a unique process because I'm in LA most of the time, and they're obviously recording in Texas. And with the simuldubs, they don't have time to wait for us to fly back and record a couple of episodes. They have to record week by week, and so we do this special Source Connect service, and we go in, and there's a little bit of a delay talking to the director, but I'll record just the same as normal, and then sometimes we have to resend the files. But they get the files, they listen to them, we see how it fits, and they'll give me direction if needed. And like they've said, is this frustrating with the delay? And I'm like, no. I mean, it's a different way to work, but it means that I get to be a part of simuldubs occasionally, and I get to work more with my family at Funimation. So I'm very grateful to it, and I will happily deal with a little bit of a lag time if it means that I get to work with them more. So I know it's sort of frustrating for them as well because they have to move so quickly, but Colleen has been super generous in letting me work on the show, and she was like, no, you were the right person for the job, and so we do what we have to do.
Very nice.
Yeah,
my hero is definitely one of those anime that's now exploding. Like I'm so happy about it because I love the show, and it's been getting bigger and bigger. It's another one of those shows that's gonna be probably mainstream very soon, I bet you. If not already, I think, to be honest with you. It probably is mainstream at this point. I mean, Crunchyroll Awards had almost every single category they won almost. And it's just, oof.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yep.
It's pretty much popular across the board. I haven't heard any haters for it at the very least. So there you go.
No, I be honest with you, like in the community that because I'm an anituber, I have not met anyone that's like, oh, I hate. It's like no, they basically even if you don't love it, you still like it because you're like it's just cool. And
yeah,
you almost think you almost
fun.
think
It's a fun show.
Right, because it's like it goes back to almost if you realize the comic book days in many ways. These characters are heroes, and not so many anime really goes into superheroes like that. It's this is one of those that does it, and yet it still has that shonen style to it.
Subjects actually.
I'm sorry.
It's a nice hybrid of subjects. You get the you get the little bit of that shonen, but you also get that kind of superhero Justice League feel to it.
Exactly right, where you feel the advancement and you feel that.
It's a very comfortable place for it to be. Kind of refreshing.
I agree with you 100%, man. That's why it's just awesome. It's probably one of my favorite shonens to come out in the last, I want to say, couple decades. I grew up with shonen technically, so it's like, yeah. But
I saw a question scroll by.
Michelle, did you see anything?
Michelle, you want
to? Which one? I
think
it's for Tim.
Yes.
Given the political climate in America and international relations, why did you specifically pick China as the enemy in World War III, as opposed to other countries like Russia and North Korea?
Well, that's quite interesting.
That's a very deep question, yes.
But... Well, the answer is we actually picked everybody. It is in fact a world war. There's this group called the Meta-National Transitory Pact, which is kind of sort of like the Eastern influence, China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, the typical people who butt heads basically with the Western countries. And there's also some South American people in the metas and whatnot. It's sort of a almost everybody's got a side basically. And what's happened is there's if you go to the website, go to rollbank.com/column. John Swayze actually probably explains it. We have him as a narrator explaining the world, and he probably just does it better than I'm about to do it. Basically, there's sort of a crisis of and the two sides end up squaring off. And one of the things that happens is one of the metas countries or somebody involved with the metas launches this device called the disruptor device, and it's a thing that they're not sure how it works, but basically what it's done is it's ruined all GPS, all long range radar. It's really kind of reduced the technology back to really 50s early Cold War era, because long range, basically like you can't use UAVs without GPS and all this other stuff.
Right.
So what's happened now is basically now it's a game of numbers. Since now that the fight's broken out, it's a game of numbers, not technology. So you have countries like China and Russia with very, very large armed forces and populations, and they're able to do things like invade North America because they don't have to worry about GPS, and the technology gap pretty much is vanished. So basically the question is why is China the enemy? Because they're a formidable opponent and it works for the narrative, so that's why.
Oh, that's what keeps it interesting, because it's not.
I think the Chinese girl characters are my favorite, so. They're from New York. There you go. The actors are from New York, so.
They're from my neck of the woods. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
New York, by the way,
And-
New York right now is very cold. It's very cold over here. It's like, holy crap. This is just,
Ah.
God. I feel like I need the heat on. And it's like,
The question I have is, with the different anime that's coming out, like just started this season, which ones, if you could, would you actually want to dub that are not being dubbed right now?
good question.
Is that for Cherami?
Or,
Yep.
Yeah.
As for Cherami.
So which shows that are not being dubbed that I could dub if I had the choice?
Yes, if you have the choice. If you can dub any new shows that are out this season, which would it be?
Oh my gosh.
Of this
I don't
season,
even
that's the crazy
know.
part, by the way. It's like, how many shows are at this season? Like 50, it seems like. Swear to God.
Yeah, I have no idea. That's one of the things that's been so great about, with more anime becoming more and more available, it's kind of hard to watch everything.
Yes, it is.
Because I'm like, okay, so this season specifically that Funimation's working on, or that Viz is working on, or that are just on Crunchyroll, or that are just on Netflix, or on Hulu, or whatever the case may be. There's so much. So I would probably give an incorrect answer, because someone would say, well, what about this show? I'm like, I haven't even heard about that show. So I don't know. I get so excited whenever I get auditions, and I don't get auditions for everything, and every show that I am sent, I'm excited about. And then I'll see another show that a friend's working on. I'm like, man, I didn't even know about this one. This is great. This is very unique. So I can't answer that question fairly, because I don't know everything that's out there. There's so much, which is fantastic when you're a fan. But when you want to try to keep up with everything, it's sort of daunting sometimes.
I can imagine it's like the video game world too, because like video games are coming out now like a mile
Oh my
a minute.
gosh, yeah.
And even that's the same thing where there are so many things you want to have.
I was sitting at an audition and looking at Game Informer, and I'm like, this is fantastic. What is this? This looks fantastic. What is this? And I know that that's just the select few that got put in the magazine. So.
And meanwhile, there's how many
just so
behind the
much
scenes
content.
that are in Japan, not even just Japan, but everywhere. And it seems like that. Like, what's coming out? What's coming out next? It's, oh my God. And I'm a gamer myself, so it's like
amazing.
You had a huge year for games, because your likeness was in Call of Duty, which is already kind of a blockbuster, and then the sleeper hit Nier, like that was a smash hit. So,
can I just say about
which one?
Nier.
Oh, Nier Automata.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nier Automata was an excellent game.
Nier was crazy. I got a crazy great response. Persona 5 got a crazy great response.
Forgot about that. Yeah. You're just hitting them all.
We did not expect. And then this past year was the first year I got to do some mocap, which I was terrified, because I had broken and sprained my ankle. And then they said, can you come in and audition for a motion capture game? And I was like, how much motion do you need to capture? Like, I'm on crutches.
Oh God.
And that was for Horizon Zero Dawn. And luckily they had a long amount of time for rehearsals and character discussion, and then we did some recording before we had to do the mocap days. So I got to do the DLC for that. And then like a week after I got cast for Horizon Zero Dawn, I got called in for Call of Duty World War II. And so I got to do some mocap for that, but that was mainly just facial capture. And then they put my likeness into the game, which was very surreal and weird, but cool.
I remember when I saw that, I was like, wait, why does this person look familiar? And I look at him like, wait a second. And then I was one of the few people that was so pissed off when they switched her out for a second. They put someone else in. I'm like, no.
For the holidays.
I was like, no, put the other one back in. No, come on, Cherami Leigh's character back in. No. I was legit like
my
so
cousins
annoyed.
were playing, and their mom was like, my aunt was like, hey, does that look familiar? And he was like, yeah, it kind of looks like Cherami. And he was like, but it can't be Cherami, because like her voice doesn't sound like that normally. She's like in the 1940s, and Cherami never wears her hair in a ponytail when we hang out, so it can't be her. I'm like, what what? They're like 11. So they're 11 and 13. So that was their logic behind it. So when I saw them over the holidays, I was like, guys, that is me. And they're like, no, it's not. You don't sound like that. I was like, whatever. Okay.
Believe it or not, it's like at that point.
Oh god.
You know, if my hair is usually down, then obviously I can't put it in a ponytail for them.
That's what I mean. Like, you could cosplay as that character. I mean, it looks like you.
I could cosplay as myself. That would be weird.
Yeah, that would be interesting, right? It's like that'd be meta. There's a meta-ness to that. Like, oh, I'm myself.
You see this stand there next to me with like the radio and the weapons box or whatever. Just stand there at a con.
Do you recognize this person? This is me. And it's like, oh, you're the person. No, I'm playing myself. I'm just me.
It was very interesting in New Zealand. We were going back, and I was a little under the weather, so we were going through security, and I had my Call of Duty backpack, and someone was like, "Hey, you look like the quartermaster," and I was like, "Yes, I voice the quartermaster." And then one of my friends was like, "You're also her face," and the guy was like, "Oh, okay." And so when we had to go through customs, he's like, "You don't need to look at her passport. That's Cherami. That's quartermaster. She's good." I was like, "Oh, this is new. Great. Thank you." So, but they did still look at my passport.
We just need a passport. We need to win this war.
Yeah, we need the video game. Can anybody pull this up so we can confirm her identity?
Oh my god. Well, let's see. Oh, by the way, yes, folks, we are going to wrap up soon because we've been going on for a while, and we don't want to keep Cherami for too long either.
Yes.
But yeah, no, because we feel bad. You got other things to do, obviously. So ask some final questions once more. Again, I'll go more to the wrap up stuff in a couple minutes when we are at the very end. But ask your final questions. We'll take probably one or two more. We have one from the Otaku Fangirl, which I mentioned before. Cherami, how was your voice experience in voicing Makoto in Persona 5?
Oh, amazing. I love Makoto so much. I actually did not know how long that game was going to take to record, which was a very pleasant surprise because I got to live with that character for a while and got to work with that team. And then the fans really supported it, which is fantastic. And hopefully that means that they're going to bring us back to do the English dub of the anime. I haven't heard anything about it, so we'll hope for the best. But I would love to get to go back and voice
hope they do
more
all that,
Makoto.
I really do hope to get the whole voice cast for the English dub because, I mean, I played Persona 5 in English, and it's just all of you guys were amazing in that. Really, Persona 5 is definitely
Atlas has been so supportive of us, and the team is fantastic, and all of us voice actors get along very well. So we know that the more stuff we get to do together, if there's a new anime, that means there's more opportunities for all of us to get to hang out together and do a panel together. So we don't really get to hang out when we're working, so we have to wait for conventions or panels or things like that to hang out. So it's a fun excuse to get to work together and do more things and hopefully get to hang out because I love that whole cast. They're fantastic.
Here's hoping we get Dancing All Night soon because Dancing All Night, I think it's, forget the exact English name for it, but Persona 5, the Dancing All Night version of that. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I loved Persona 4 that was like that. So I was like, so hopefully you guys do that too because that would be awesome. And dub.
That would be awesome. I mean, yes. Like I said, more Makoto would be great.
Anyone else? Let's see. Oh, by the way, Michelle, you said for the on Twitter you're going to be giving away some of your Crunchyroll passes too, right?
Ooh.
I believe yes.
Yes, we're trying to do like a following type campaign. So if you follow us on Twitter, we're going to give away 3 more of the Crunchyroll passes.
So go follow her.
And
go follow on APRS.
It's Anime PR Squad on Twitter.
And I left a direct link to that in the description box below.
Yep.
All right, but we are basically at the end of this, so we'll wrap it up. Again, folks, for everyone that joined, and besides just you guys, the people in the chat right now, you guys are awesome. Thanks for asking questions. Thanks for just being here. I saw people that are going to support it, even the smallest amount. That's incredible. You know, to Cherami Leigh, thank you so much for joining. Again, I'm
Thank
just
you.
yeah, I'm just
Thank you,
amazed by that.
you.
With you know,
So
even
excited.
even having this, you know, even having Tim let me do a stream for this is just awesome. So thank you, Tim, also for doing that.
Yeah, man, we're happy to get the word out and build hype and all that
And
stuff.
I pray that you guys will get that. Trust me, I think you guys will. I really do. Michelle, also thank you for joining. Obviously,
Anytime.
yep. And this all was all done by all of us. You know, this is something that we tried our best with. I hope you guys enjoy the stream. You know, we've had some hiccups in the beginning. Obviously, that kind of happens with almost every live stream, unfortunately, but seemed to be fine after, right?
Yep.
All right, but
Everything
anyways,
that time.
I am going to
Yay.
end the stream. Everyone, if you have anything else you want to plug, does Cherami, you want to plug anything specifically? People follow you on
I
Twitter,
don't know
obviously.
what I'm allowed to plug right now. I mean, obviously, please check out the Kickstarter for Column.
Right.
Check that out. It was so fun to work on. I hope you guys enjoy it, and thank you for helping to promote it and get the word out. My Hero Academia on Funimation.com. I'm in a show called Mechard on YouTube, which is a Mattel show. And then there are other things that I don't know what I'm allowed to say, so I just won't, but it'll be on my Twitter.
So
If
make sure to
you
follow on
are
Twitter.
aware of Anime Unlocked, I have a show called Love and Light that's on every single day. You can also watch Confessionals, which is the web series starring voice actors on camera playing like spoof versions of themselves.
So it's worth it for just
Getting
Tatum
to do
alone.
more of that, so you can check that out on Anime Unlocked, and I'll share those links on my Twitter, which is @Cherami Leigh.
Yep, which I put in the description box, so you can check that if you need to.
Sweet, thank you.
Tim, would you like to promote
Yeah,
yourself?
I want to thank Cherami for coming here to help us with this, and thank her for obviously participating in the project. And it means an absolute lot to us. And for the people watching, if you want to hear more Cherami, you can go to rawblink.com/Kara, and that's the kind of character introduction. If you want even more, obviously the Kickstarter, there's more of her character, and there's also more audio from Cherami.
Yay! Thank
yes.
you.
Yes, indeed. And there's also some other VAs you may know and may like, hopefully. And if you're skeptical about the project, well, for one thing, it is completed. Second, there is a free preview on Comic Central, which if you go to the Kickstarter, the link it's like one of the first links. And that's completely free. That's 22 pages, full color, and that should give you a good taste of what you're getting into. And that's for your enjoyment, and it's completely free. So that's all I got to say about that.
Very nice. Michelle, would you like to plug yourself too?
Oh, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, Cherami, for joining us. And
thank you. Thanks for supporting us.
I am so sorry about my nervousness, but it'll all go away. I was completely nervous.
Oh, trust me, I'm like.
I had to say that the rest of the PR squad, when they found out you were going to be on the live stream, they were like, darn, my internet doesn't work. I want it to work. But they couldn't get it to work in time. But Bailey says hello.
Oh, yay.
So we are going to be working on the website, and the website should be up in a couple months. We're still working on the different things, the finalizing. And we're also going to be, we're nonprofit, so everything that we make on the website through affiliations is going straight back to the voice actors, the seiyus, the animators, and everyone else that is a part of the anime industry. So that's what our dream is right now. So if you want to follow us,
awesome.
Yep. So if you want to follow us, we're on @AnimePRSquad, and I think my dog's making noise. So poor thing, he's been neglected.
He wants to say stuff too.
He's been neglected. So, but that's about it. And thank everyone that came. This was a big undertaking. It was something that we were trying. So thank you so much for everyone that's supporting. And we're still looking for people for APRS, by the way. And we're going to give away 3 more Crunchyroll passes on our Twitter follower. So make sure you follow our Twitter. And that's about it.
Which is
Did anybody get the Joel answer? I missed the chat.
No, I don't think
Nobody ever got it.
Wow.
Nobody got it.
Joel will stay unknown. And then I guess I could plug myself. I mean, you guys already know me. Like 90% of the people that are in the chat, they know who I am, so I don't need to really plug my channel, nor will I. But it's been an honor. Obviously, I'll say that again. I can say that a million times. I still won't feel like it has any clout because I just like I was such a small channel, and they have a voice actress, Cherami Leigh on here at all is freaking amazing. You have no idea. Like, trust me, I am sweating myself. I am like, but gotta keep it. I gotta keep some coolness to me a little bit. With all that I might or may not have. And again, support Tim, support Michelle. They're doing some very advantageous projects that are they're amazing to say the least. So definitely go support them. Everyone's links in the description box below, like I keep saying. And that's it for that. Hopefully you guys had a fun time. I don't know what's next for this whole thing, but we'll continue keeping updated. So this way, make sure to follow everyone that you have to follow so you can keep updated with this. And yeah, have a good day, everyone. God bless you all.